so cute. My little assistant.
Hello, welcome to my channel, and look who's here with me today filming the video. He's actually nearly 6.5 months now. Honestly, I have no idea how the time is flying, but the first maybe 6 weeks were so slow. It seems like they would never end because it was so hard. But then time just started flying and flying and flying, and now I don't know how to stop it. I literally feel like my baby is gone, and now I have a toddler instead. A toddler who is already crawling, who wants to be standing, who is talking and babbling all the time. He has the cutest personality ever. There's Serena sleeping right next to us in her bed, and Leonardo loves his first sisters. That's where he's looking, if you're wondering. So let's start from an update on him, because he might get tired soon, so I'll have to put him on a blanket to practice his crawling. So he is crawling now, not fast, not completely, but he's on all fours and he is moving forward in that way, slowly, and he's making so much progress every single day, and it's so nice to see him really enjoying his newfound mobility and playing with his toys. Crawling to them, crawling to his first sisters. When they try to escape from him, he just crawls to them instead. So now he has so much more say in what happens to him and where he goes and who he spends time with, which I think is nice for him. He's babbling so much and saying all kinds of consonants, and I think he's been doing it for maybe the last couple of months. He says things like pleh, pleh, and pear and bear. Sometimes it seems like he's really trying to say something and is getting kind of frustrated because we can't understand. He doesn't have any teeth yet, but I think they're really close because he's teething quite a bit, and they're really close. You can see them, but they haven't popped out yet. I actually can't wait to see his first teeth. He started rolling both ways from around 4 months, so he's been doing it for a long time now. And it's great because now he can find a comfortable position in his cot all by himself, so I don't have to continuously reposition him to his preferred sleeping position. So that's easier for both of us. He's not sitting yet though. If I put him in a sitting position, he will stay there for a while, but he doesn't put himself in a sitting position. And I don't think it's good to put them in a position that they're not really willing to do by themselves yet, because if they don't do it, it means that they're not ready for it. And I feel like his focus is on moving, on getting to places rather than sitting in one place. That's why he's not interested at all. But he doesn't have any issue sitting in his high chair. We went traveling when he was 4 months and 1 week. We're traveling for 18 days and we had 4 flights. We went to so many different destinations. We first went to Madrid, then we went to Lithuania to see my family, then to Italy to see Luca's family. And he was so good. Honestly, he didn't cry during any of the flights, and he was usually the youngest baby out of all the babies on the plane, but he was the only one not crying. He was perfectly comfy. And I feel like this trip really was so beneficial for him, made him so much more flexible, and really taught him how to sleep anywhere, because now after the trip he can fall asleep in my arms. Just, you know, if I'm just, I don't know, standing talking to someone, he'll just fall asleep in my arms if it's that time of the day when he needs to sleep. And I think that's such a great skill to have for life. He was also so social during the trip. I had no idea how he would behave with people, how he would behave if somebody picked him up, because he didn't really have much exposure to strangers here where we live. But he was so friendly with everyone, and he was so nice with my sister and my mom and Luca's family. And to this day, when we talk on Skype or WhatsApp, and when he hears their voices, he can actually recognize them, and he has this huge smile and just warms my heart. He had his first little cold when he was 4.5 months, and we were in Lithuania at that time. I had a really bad cold myself. If you go somewhere in September, you don't exactly expect it to be 5 degrees or something, so I didn't have a winter coat, and so I caught a cold, and I spent the whole weekend in bed with a fever and feeling totally rubbish and freaking out that Leonardo was going to get sick. And in the end he did, but then he just had a bit of a sniffly nose and he coughed a few times, and that is it. It just took a week of getting his snots out, and that's it. He didn't have any complications, he didn't have any fever. and we just continued traveling, continued living our life, and he just got over it. So I was really impressed. The thing is, when you're breastfeeding, you pass on your antibodies to the baby. So because I got through the cold myself, I was able to pass all the antibodies to him, so he never really got properly sick. We've been really enjoying our ring sling. I initially used the wrap, but as he got heavy and he started moving more and more, I didn't find it so comfortable anymore. So a week before the trip, I decided to learn how to use a ring sling, and that's all I used for a week. And by the time it was time to fly away, he's talking to the cat. By the time we went away, I was totally confident with it, and that's all I brought on the trip. And honestly, it was so comfortable anywhere from traveling, going through Madrid, to just popping into the shops or meeting friends, or him having a nap on me while, you know, having some time with the friends in their houses. It was just so handy, and I'm still using it every single day. But right now we actually ordered a little baby structured carry as well, so I think it's going to be really good now that it's getting heavier and heavier. He's 7.5 kilos now. So he was at 50th percentile, and now he dropped down to 25th percentile. And I think it's because he was so mobile. He was crawling and rolling around, moving all the time. He sleeps well. He's very, very happy. So I'm sure he's getting enough nutrition from me. It seems like all of his growth happened in his head, because it's actually at the 98th percentile. So that's really impressive. They also say that big heads are linked to a higher IQ in babies. I guess we'll have to wait and see, but right now it does seem like he is sending all of his fuel, all of his nutrition into his head, into the growth of his brain rather than his height. I'm still exclusively breastfeeding him. Now we do it every 3-4 hours. All that broken sleep is really catching up with me, and now I'm training him to sleep in his cot again. And so far we've been doing it for a few days, and he's been eating just couple of times a night, so that's with 4 or 5 hour stretches, so I think that's really good. I don't want to wean him off completely, because then I would have to feed him more frequently during the day, but I think once a night around 4 a.m. would be perfect, and that's what we're working towards. I don't know if you noticed from the videos, but his head has something called scaphocephaly, and it's basically elongated head. It's the opposite of the flat head syndrome that is so common nowadays because of the back to back sleeping campaign, where the baby sleep on the back. So this guy slept on his side and then later on his belly from the beginning. And because of the way he was born as well, his head was always more elongated. So we were quite worried. Our pediatrician was also almost ready to send us to a specialist and maybe evaluate if he's going to need a helmet in the future, things like that. So we were freaking out quite a bit. But then we went back to our chiropractor who specializes in baby skulls. We originally went to him for treatments when Leonardo was 6 weeks, and they really helped a lot. But then everything went out of balance again, because he kept sleeping on our bed and also on his cot that has quite a hard mattress, like baby cots are supposed to have. And that really changed the shape of his head again. And I think it's not just about the fact that it's elongated. It's also because of difficult birth that he had. His head is also kind of twisted, so it kind of looks like a banana. And his ears are not even, so one ear was considerably more forward than the other. So there were a lot of issues, and the chiropractor has been working on them for quite a while now, for a couple of months. In the beginning we had to go every week. Now we're going every 2 weeks. We're going to go again in a couple of days. It's a little bit elongated, but it's within the normal range, and that's all that matters. You see, he talks so much. He's just the cutest when he's like that. So when he was born, he had really black hair, and he had very dark gray eyes. We had no idea what his eye color would be like. And he ended up being blonde, or very light brown. I would say more blonde. The top hair is darker, and then underneath is really, really light blonde. So we'll see what it's going to look like. So far it seems like it has a bit of a red undertone, just like my hair, so that's kind of cool. And his eyes seem to be hazel. Leonardo started eating solids already, and he's been doing it for the last nearly couple of weeks. As soon as he got to 6 months, we started trying something called the baby-led weaning or baby-led feeding. He's already tried so many different foods. He's tried banana pancakes, so bananas and eggs, avocado, broccoli, chicken, chirimoya, which is called custard apple in English, I think. Baked apples as well, and he's loved everything. He's such a little foodie, just like his mom and dad. Oh no, I think he's bored of being here, so I'm really sorry. But I'll have to put him down on the floor so you won't be able to see him anymore. But maybe at the end of the video he can come to say goodbye. Bye for now. He's on the mat playing now, but if you hear some baby babble, it's him right underneath. So he's been enjoying his food so much, and we don't do any kind of pureed foods. He can chew pretty well with his gums. He doesn't have teeth yet. He has learned how to swallow solid food already, and honestly there's so much change from the first day to, let's say, 10 days later, where he was not able to eat anything at all, to now feeding himself almost all by himself. If you haven't tried baby-led weaning, I would totally recommend trying it, because it's so good for their independence, bravery to experiment with foods and trying different things. I think it's really good for them. At the same time, I'm not fanatical about baby-led feeding or anything. I don't mind giving him some pureed foods as well. Like, for example, if we're having some pureed soup, I'll give it to him. I gave him mashed potatoes the other day, and that was great. So it's not like I'm only giving him finger foods. I give him whatever we have available. He's also learning how to drink from his baby cup. I am not really a fan of those sippy cups and, you know, all kinds of things where the baby can have the cup upside down and still not going to leak. That, I think, doesn't really teach them anything, and it's not the best for the teeth development either. So I really wanted to teach him how to drink from a cup right away. So we got these baby cups. They're super tiny, they're super cute, and he is so good at drinking already. Super fun to watch him. So now when you have hiccups, you actually have something to help. You can just give him some water to drink, and it's so handy. We've always treated him as an adult, as a very intelligent human being rather than just a baby. And that's why I think he's so independent, and he's so brave, and so just is not afraid to do things by himself. We always try to give him as much independence as possible, to feed himself, to get to toys by himself, to entertain himself. And I think that's really important for a baby. He falls asleep completely on his own now. In the past, I used to stay in the room until he fell asleep. But then we reached a point where I just realized that my presence was actually stopping him from making further progress. So I felt it was time for me to leave. And now we just do our sleep routine. I put him in the cot, I kiss him, I say goodnight, I leave the room, and he falls asleep within 5 or 10 minutes. He takes 2 or 3 naps every day now, 2 longer ones and 1 really short one, or 2 quite long ones, and that's it. And the last one, the third nap of the day, usually happens when we are walking out in the evening, walking the dog. So he just sleeps in the sling, and that usually works out the best, because it's just a quick cat nap of 20-30 minutes, and that ties him over to the nighttime sleep. He's there on the floor right now, flapping his arms like that, because he's so happy to watch me talking. And honestly, he's just such a happy, content, self-confident and intelligent child. I am so in love with him, and I'm so proud of him. He's everything and more than I've ever wanted. Now let's quickly talk about me at 6 months postpartum. I talked about my struggle with overactive milk letdown and also overproduction of milk in my video about cell salts. But basically I struggled that literally from the day he was born, and at one point it was so difficult that Leonardo was afraid of me. He was afraid to nurse, he was refusing to nurse, he was screaming instead of nursing. And I found this cell salt called natrium muriaticum, or potassium chloride, which really saved our breastfeeding relationship, and we were able to continue. But without that salt, I have no idea what I would have done. And ever since then, we've been breastfeeding happily, no issues. We're still doing it now at 6.5 months, and we'll definitely continue. If you've seen a recent update, I also went gluten-free almost 3 months ago, and that really helped me as well, because my digestive issues were kind of crazy postpartum. And now I feel like new, I feel better than ever. So I'm definitely going to continue with the gluten-free way of life. My hair loss was really bad for exactly 3 months and it stopped now. It stopped a couple of weeks ago. Now my hair loss is really minimal. So now I'm looking forward to having really thick and beautiful hair. But while it was happening, it was actually really scary. I thought I was going to be without hair. I thought I was going to have bald patches or something like that. Right now it's 6 months. I feel like I have so much more free time than in the previous 6 months, because now he plays independently so much. I can easily leave him playing for an hour and a half and get things done. I can clean the house, I can hoover, I can mop, I can cook. He's so happy to just play by himself, and that makes me feel like I have my life back, or a better version of my life back, and I can get back to work and I can get back to making videos, and I can keep the house beautiful, and that just makes me happy, because first 6 months were literally like me trying to catch up with things and feeling completely overwhelmed and not being able to do anything. But now it's so easy, and honestly, if you are just the beginning and struggling, I really want you to know that things do get better, much better, and you sort of get your life back. Not the life that you had before completely, but a better version of it, a slightly different version of it. And honestly, I wouldn't want to have a different life now. Weight loss since giving birth, I lost all of the weight that I gained during pregnancy, and then I lost 4 kilos more. So now I'm back to the weight I was around 5 years ago, 10 years ago, which was very close to my ideal weight. And that makes me very happy, because my weight just wouldn't budge for a long time. No matter what I did, I just couldn't get back to my previous size. But since going gluten-free, it all just fell off, and Leonardo is moving the camera away from me because it's crawling all over the place. Now, everybody was saying breastfeeding helps weight loss, you're going to lose it all so quickly, but even though I was breastfeeding and even overproducing milk, my weight just wasn't going down at all for a long time, and it was only a gluten-free diet that actually finally got me down to the weight I wanted to be at. In terms of the healing from my stitches and from the actual birth process, I feel almost back to normal now. For a long time I couldn't do certain positions in yoga because I could feel the pulling down there where my stitch was, and it was uncomfortable. But now I can do everything, and it's been like this for the last couple of months, so that's great. The only thing is that, especially when I'm tired or in the evenings, or when I get gluten and I feel rubbish in general, I struggle with sneezing because, well, one, it kind of feels uncomfortable, like my insides will fall out, and two, because sometimes I pee myself a little bit. And it was really pretty bad at the beginning after giving birth, because my labor was really challenging due to Leonardo being in the brow presentation. So the damage for my pelvic floor must have been pretty bad. Now most of the time it's slowly okay. It does get better with time, and I'm told that by the time I'm 1 year postpartum, everything should be back to normal and it shouldn't really happen anymore. Leonardo is moving the camera tripod again. But Kegels exercises or pelvic floor exercises have really been helping, and then squats and, you know, all kinds of pelvic floor strengthening exercises have been a huge help, so I'll just keep doing them. In general, I've been taking it easy with exercises. I wish I exercised a little bit more, but at the same time, just looking after my baby and going for walks and keeping the house clean and keeping the terrace clean is kind of enough exercising for me now. So I do yoga from time to time, just very gentle yoga. I walk, because the thing is, I don't just walk. I carry a 7.5 kilo baby on me, and that is a workout by itself. And I also lift him up and carry him all day long as well, so I consider that exercising. So I really just follow my body as usual, and if it doesn't want to exercise any more than that, and right now it doesn't, I just don't do it. So far I can only say, wow, what a journey. It's very similar to how I imagined it, and all the people were saying, yeah, you're just looking at life through rosy glasses, wait until you actually have a baby and then you'll see how wrong you were. But I'm here to say that it is very close to how I imagined. It's actually a little bit better and easier than I imagined, and I'm stoked about that. So I really hope that you enjoyed watching it. I'm going to make so many videos in the future about my breastfeeding journey, my postpartum journey with all the tips, and also all the books I can recommend for breastfeeding, for pregnancy, for after the baby's born, and so on and so forth. There's so many things I want to share. Leave me a comment down below about anything. It really helps my channel and I love reading them. And Leonardo really wanted to say bye as well. Bye! Thanks for watching!